order the regular meeting of the Board of Directors of the Vallecitos Water District for Wednesday, December 2nd, 2020. And before I start, I would like to read the notice public. Due to the situation with the COVID virus and Executive Order N3520, so long as state or local public health officials have imposed or recommended social distancing measures, Vallecitos Water District will hold future meetings via teleconferencing and allow members of the public to observe and address the meeting telephonically or otherwise electronically. During this period of time, Vallecitos Water District will not be making any physical location available for members of the public to observe the meeting and offer public comment. The public is encouraged to watch and participate in the meeting from the safety of their homes. The meeting can be viewed on the agenda page located on the main page of the district's website. Public comments or questions can be submitted to the following email address, publiccomment@vwd.org. All written comments that are received at least 90 minutes before the meeting will be provided to the board, and a record of the receipt of such comments will be noted during the meeting. Members of the public viewing the meeting via the Zoom video conferencing platform can access their desire to provide input at the appropriate time by utilizing the raise hand function. Additional instructions for online participation will be posted on the district's website, www.vwd.org/meetings. And at this point, I will take roll call to see who's here. Director Martin, are you here?
Present.
Thank you. Director Sinella?
Here.
Thank you. Director Elitharp?
Present.
Thank you. And Director Hernandez?
Present.
Thank you. And I'm here as well, so the full board is in attendance. Our next, I need to entertain a motion to adopt the agenda for the regular meeting of today.
Martin, so moved. Second, Hernandez.
Thank you. It's been moved by Martin and seconded by Hernandez that we adopt today's agenda. A roll call vote. Director Sinella?
Yes.
Director Elitharp?
Yes.
Director Hernandez?
Yes.
Director Hernandez? I'm sorry, Director Martin?
Yes.
And Director Evans is a yes as well, so passes unanimously. At this time, we are open for public comment. I know you had said we didn't have anyone who had written in beforehand. Do we have anyone in the audience right now that would like to speak?
So we're up to 6 attendees and nobody has their hand raised wishing to express an opinion.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for those out there. You'll know how to raise your hand when you're ready. Now we'll move on to our consent calendar. All matters listed on the consent calendar will be voted upon by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of these items unless a board member or a member of the public requested a particular item be removed from the consent calendar, in which case it will be considered separately under action items. Do we have any such withdrawals or changes?
Move to approve, Martin.
Thank you. So it's been moved and seconded.
Sinella.
Thank you. It's been moved by Martin and seconded by Sinella that we accept our consent calendar. Roll call vote will be Director Elitharp,
Yes.
Director Martin,
Yes.
Director Hernandez,
Yes.
Director Sinella,
Yes.
and I will also say yes, so passes unanimously. And that will move us very quickly into our action items. Our first one is 2.1, California Public Utilities Commission's Self-Generation Incentive Program. I believe I'm going to hand this over to you, General Manager Pruitt, to start.
Yeah, and I'm going to turn it over to James, but this is a pretty exciting opportunity. And I joked with James earlier, it's one of those things that sounds too good to be true. And you're going to hear that it's not too good to be true. So with that suspenseful lead in, I'll turn it over to James.
Thank you, General Manager Pruitt. Madam President, members of the board, today I'll be telling you a story that sounds too good to be true. So with that, so what this is essentially is, let me back up a little bit. So as everybody who lives in San Marcos knows that we're subject to what they call the public safety power shutoff, basically where they could shut off power if there's high demand or if there's red flag or Santa Ana conditions. Because of that, Basically, the state has a grant program which allows granting for a resiliency program for backup power. So currently, right now, the way we handle it is we have either generators on site or we have portable generators that we roll out to our water pump stations to make sure that our customers are with essential water service during those times. And of course, we have generators or portable generators that we roll out to our sewer systems to ensure that we protect the environment and we don't spill sewer when the power outages happen. This program is essentially backup power for several of our facilities or potentially for several of our facilities. So as far as the self-generation program, so there's a couple different avenues, but the one that we qualify for is called the Equity Resiliency Program, which covers 100% of the equipment, engineering, and installation costs for essentially Tesla battery packs. These are similar to the Tesla battery packs that you get for your home, but instead of being a power wall, these are called power packs or mega packs, depending on the size. Now, we do have to qualify for that. You have to be in a high fire danger area. And unlucky, but lucky in this case for us, Vallecitos district is in a high fire danger area. The other thing is we have to have critical facilities. So water is considered essential for public safety and health. Also, wastewater is also considered essential, both for the environment and from a public health standpoint. And last but not least is some of those areas have to be interconnected to serve disadvantaged communities. And we have disadvantaged communities pockets, whether it's affordable housing or within different more affluent areas. And then we have other areas which are zoned through the county and identified as disadvantaged areas. With the way we integrate our water system, we have the ability to move water from almost anywhere in the district to different areas. So our system being so well integrated allowed for many of our sites to qualify or potentially qualify. So as far as site selection, this process started in the summer of 2020. It sounded too good to be true, so we didn't want to really let the board know until we knew this was a real program. Chris from our team and myself kind of led the program with the site selection, and then we actually kind of handed it over once we had sites selected to Susan, our asset management supervisor, and myself to kind of carry that ball across the finish line, which we're really close now. 2 sites came up right away as qualifying, which is the district headquarters site right here, because since it is the hub and it is a facility we use for the entire district. And the other site actually is the San Leandro Hills Pump Station, which supplies the majority of water to the San Leandro Hills community. But since that system is integrated with water from the other side of the hill, which is this side of the hill along the 78 corridor, we have the ability, if need be, to move water from the San Leandro Hills side through that pump station up and over basically until the 1530 system and down into the main area by the college and also well into Lake San Marcos if we need to. The projects also, 6 other projects are identified, and you can see from, sorry, let me stop sharing this one. Let me share a different screen with you here. Okay, do you guys see the map?
Yes.
Okay, good, because I can't see, but on the map, you can see the 2 sites that have been selected. And then the Meadowlark site is another site, Palace Pump Station, are a whole, basically all the facilities up at Twin Oaks and Coogan Pump Station are some of the other sites that have been selected. I put a list of them in the board package, which by the way, starts on page 62. So with that, those are the other sites being considered. So the project essentially will provide resiliency. So the main focus of it is if the power were to go out, this will be our primary source of backup power. It will work in conjunction with our generator systems. So the batteries will get drained first before we need to go to any type of diesel generator or natural gas generator. And then the other advantage that we have, although it's a small advantage and it's not the main focus, is during peak times, which is 4 p.m. to 9 p.m., we could actually use the batteries instead of using power from the grid, which would save some money at our facilities. Now, most of our water systems are designed to not be pumped or not be utilized during peak periods, so the savings are pretty small. However, if Meadowlark, for example, is qualified, then that could be a fairly significant savings. The system also is integrated with the National Weather Service and with SDG&E. So if there is a PSP, one of these power outages scheduled, the system will automatically fill up the batteries to ensure that we have maximum amount of backup power, much like our water operators fill up our water system to ensure that we have the max amount of storage for our customers if there's a red flag event coming. So it's a smart system, and we're looking forward to getting them installed. And again, for this recommendation, there's 2 sites, the district's headquarters and San Pump Station, that are going to be approved, but there's also 6 other sites that we may approve. And the financial impacts also would be some savings, although each site's different, so I wasn't able to calculate an exact savings. And the savings is really secondary, but really it's the battery packs. The battery packs themselves for the 2 sites are close to $900,000 in value. And with the engineering and the installation costs, it costs us up to about $1.2 million of basically grant paid for cost or benefit. They come with 10 years of free maintenance and monitoring from Tesla, and we own the battery packs from day one. So after 10 years, we could do whatever we want with them, keep them, maintain them ourselves, hire a contractor to maintain them for us. That's a decision we can make later down the road. So with that, basically, there's 3 recommendations. The first recommendation is obviously allow the general manager to go into contract to approve the 2 sites. And the contracts for those 2 sites are attached, and they have been reviewed by legal. And then also basically find that the project is categorically exempt, in which the district staff will be preparing that exemption, working through our legal staff and to ensure that and to file it appropriately. And the last one kind of has to do with those other sites. The third recommendation is basically authorize the general manager to make modifications and go into new contracts for those additional sites if they come up, and make any minor modifications, as long as there's nothing of substance or nothing of material to the existing contracts that you have in your board packet. The way Tesla, it's the same contract for each site. They just changed the size of the battery and the site location and the address and those type of things. With that, essentially what we're looking at here is kind of a win-win for our customers in the district. Extra resiliency, possibly some financial savings that on those pump stations, and operational flexibility. So with that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Do you have any comments? Yes, Director Hernandez.
He's muted, President Evans.
One of the things I heard, and I'm not sure if it's true or not, but the Prius batteries, that after the useful life, you're stuck. You have to buy a new battery. So are we buying, or are we being given a battery opportunity that in 10 years we may then have to purchase a new battery as a replacement for the same amount of money? Is the question I have.
So there's no commitment. So at the end of 10 years, we could actually give the batteries back to Tesla, and they'll pay for the salvage value of the batteries. We could sell the batteries on open market. We could continue to use them if they have useful life. These batteries are lithium ion pack batteries. The Prius batteries are nickel metal halide, I believe. And so these batteries are supposedly going to last longer and have a longer lifespan. According to Tesla, they're more of a 20 to 25-year battery. However, time will tell. But the district itself is under no financial obligation. This is not a lease or anything. We own those batteries from day one, and we could salvage them, get rid of them at any time we want after 10 years.
All right, thank you.
All right. Any other comments or questions, gentlemen? No?
So-
Well, I'm excited. Oh, yes, Dr. Elitharp, or no? Who was it? Oh, James.
Sorry, I did forget to mention. So it's kind of like Cinderella at the stroke of midnight. Everything changes. So basically, they started with about $1 billion in grant. They're down to the last 20 million. And come midnight on December 31st, the grant opportunities are done. So we have these 2 sites earmarked to go in, and we're trying to get those other sites in. So there's no guarantee that the money's going to be gone before then, but we're doing everything we can to get as many sites as possible.
Question,
Yes.
Martin?
Yes, Director Martin.
Yeah, James, This sounds like a really terrific program, a win-win. And who on our staff came up with this or found out about it?
It was a group effort between engineering and our public outreach. And basically, we were looking at different programs, and Tesla called us, to be honest.
Wow.
And most of the agencies just ignored them. They said, we didn't ignore them. We started going down the process.
Great job and great opportunities there for Vallecitos. Once again, our staff's way ahead of the curve.
Thank you, Director Martin. Yes, Glenn.
I just want to let you know, we do have a public speaker on this item.
Oh, great. Would you like to bring them forward at this time?
Yeah, I can. It's Mr. Hunsaker, and I'm going to allow him to talk right now. Mr. Hunsaker,
right,
go
thank
ahead. You
you.
have 3 minutes.
I just wondered how this incentive program is working. It sounds as if our public money is financing this, and Tesla is the lead contractor. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to say, sort of echo what Director Martin said. I think it's a very exciting opportunity. I realize that 10 years down the road, there may be all sorts of variations and changes that the district will need to look into, but it's exciting and great appreciation to the engineering and Chris, the PR teams for looking into this and making it a possibility. And I do hope you get them all, but if you only get the 2 and the money's gone, I think it's still excellent opportunity, excellent situation. And I just take it as a good omen for 2021.
I'll stick my fingers.
So-
Hey,
Gentlemen, yes,
President Evans, I had just to follow up on the member of the public who asked, I think he was asking a
Oh,
question. So who are these grants from, James?
So it's basically through the state. If you look at the staff report, let's see, I think I put it down. Hold on, I don't want to get this wrong. So basically it's through the California Public Utilities Commission, and it's
Okay.
partnering with the state.
Okay, so I think the speaker had said something along the lines of it's public financing, but Tesla is going to be the contractor. But I just wanted to clarify, it's not coming from Vallecitos customers, any of the costs, correct? The grant is through the state. And
Yeah.
while that may or may not be public financing, that's a grant that the powers to be within the state had decided to go ahead and push, probably for environmental protection reasons. And I think it's wise of Vallecitos and our staff to pursue it and quite honestly take advantage of it and bring home some of that to our customers here in our district.
Yes, Director Senator, you're absolutely correct. There's no Vallecitos, this water district customers paying for this grant through Vallecitos customers. So we're taking advantage of it, and the lion's share of the money is actually going to PG&E in their service area. SCG&E is getting a much smaller share. So we're one of the lucky ones in the SCG&E service area to take advantage of this.
Well, great job to everybody involved. Thank you.
yes, and thank you for clarifying that point, Director Sanella. So at this,
Question?
yes, Director Hernandez, is that you?
Yes, it is. I echo exactly our staff, and wonderful as they are, picking up this ball and going with it. I was wondering, James, do you know if Olivenheim picked up the ball?
I do not know. The Tesla is not sharing who's in, who's out. I know majority of the examples for example, the staff report came from Northern California agencies that were impacted by the fires just last year and actually over the last several years.
Well, I just, we'll have to find out. Maybe we can one-up them and smile at them. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so now what we need, if we agree, is a motion to approve the recommendations, which we can do in one motion, correct? Even though there's 3 parts to it?
Yep.
All right. So do I have a motion?
To approve, Hernandez?
Okay,
Second, Elithar.
thank you. So it's been moved by Director Hernandez and seconded by Director Elithar that we accept the recommendations as posted in the agenda. And I'll take a roll call vote. Director Elithar,
Yes.
Thank you. Director Hernandez.
Yes.
Thank you. Director Martin.
Definitely, yes.
Thank you. Director Sinella.
Yes.
And I approve as well. So it passes unanimously. And once again, great appreciation to staff.
Thank you.
That puts us at 2.2 and project acceptance of the North Twin Oaks Tank #1 refurbishment. Now, do I give that to James as well?
I'll jump in real quick, and I think I'm going
Okay.
to turn it over to Ryan, probably.
Oh,
So
okay.
you just heard about a project that's just at the very beginning stages, and now you're going to hear about one that we're just wrapping up. So with that, I'll turn it over to Ryan.
Thank you, General Manager Pruitt. Everyone can see my screen, I presume.
Yes.
Good evening, President Evans and directors of the board. I'm pleased to present the project acceptance for the North Twin Oaks Tank #1 refurbishment. North Twin Oaks Tank #1, constructed originally in 1961, is located on El Paso Alto, west of Twin Oaks Valley Road, as depicted in the illustration. In 2015, the tank was inspected. It was observed that the existing interior lining and exterior coating of the tank, 0.6 million gallon tank, had deteriorated and required full refurbishment. The project removed and replaced the existing lining and coating. Due to the age of the tank and the level of deterioration present, replacement of the ceiling rafters was required. Equipment was also upgraded to meet current AWWA and Cal OSHA standards as part of the project. The board had awarded Harper and Associates Engineering a purchase order for the design and inspection of the tank for a fee of $54,000 on December 5th, 2018. District staff received and opened bids from 3 contractors on February 18th, 2020. Capital Industrial Coatings was the lowest apparent responsive bidder. The board awarded the contract to CIC for $446,425 at the March 18th, 2020 board meeting. Construction began on May 28th of this year and was completed on October 22nd. There were a total of 2 change orders on the project. The first was the removal of a tar enamel coating on the floor, and the second were bid item deletions at the end of the job. The change orders resulted in a credit totaling roughly $39,000 to the project, or 8.7% of the original contract value. Due to an extended duration schedule for unseen conditions, Harper and Associates Engineering contract was amended by $6,263 for additional specialty inspection services. Staff self-performed project management, construction management, and inspection services during construction. The fiscal impact is located on page 116 of your board packet, within a total project budget of $627,000. You can see total construction line items, change order credit, design and inspection, and also staff services there, totaling $612,000, just over $612,000. This resulted in a project budget surplus of nearly $15,000. Came in pretty close to budget. And with that, the staff recommends project acceptance and authorizing the general manager to file a notice of completion and release retention of funds to the contractor in compliance with the contract documents. And with that, I will field any questions you have.
Thank you, Ryan. Directors, do you have any questions or comments? I'll give you a moment. Well, I don't see any. I would like to say this has taken a little while to get this to fruition, and it's nice to have it done. And pleased, as always, that you've managed to keep it within budget. I think that's something, as a board member, I've been very appreciative of staff doing a very good job usually on the estimates and keeping things straight. So there's appreciation there. And the only regret I have is that you're not going to empty those tanks and give me an opportunity to go down in them again anytime between now and tomorrow. So thank you very much. And I do need a motion now. Yes, Director Mark?
Yeah, I would like to, only because you brought it up, I really would like to thank our staff and the board, and especially Ed Pedrazi, who allowed Director Sinella and myself to do an inspection 5 years ago of the $40 million gallon tank. Director Sinella did a full inspection. I did a halfway inspection in fear for my life. But one of the greatest memories I'll take with me. So I just want to thank all the staff that were involved in letting us do that and the board for letting us do that. Really appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, I'm very jealous. And
Welcome.
at this, but I'm glad you.
There's Ed.
All right, so I'm looking for a motion for approval. Oh, General Manager Pruitt. Did you
You're
have
on
a
mute.
question?
Glenn, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry.
Just for the record, there's no members of the public that want to speak on this item.
Okay, thank you, Glenn.
Move to approve.
All
Martin,
right. Moved by Martin and, oh, Director Ellithorpe?
Yeah, I was just going to make a motion, but I'll second Director Martin's motion.
Okay, we have a motion and a second by Director Ellithorpe that we accept the recommendation, approve the recommendation as posted in the agenda. Roll call vote, Director Sinella,
Yes.
Director Martin,
yes.
Director Ellithorpe,
Yes.
Director Hernandez,
Yes.
and yes, I'll vote yes as well. So it's accepted unanimously, it passes unanimously. And that brings us to 2.3, adjustment to the general manager's compensation. Now, I'm not sure who I turn this over to. Is that you,
Actually, General Counsel Gilpin will be taking
General
this item.
Counsel Gilpin?
Thank you, President Evans. The General Manager Pruitt's current contract is a 4-year contract, which was effective December 5th of 2018. And pursuant to his contract, he's entitled to the same cost of living adjustment as other full-time district management employees. In addition, he's eligible for up to a 3% merit increase in salary. The board recently conducted GM Pruitt's annual review, and based on his performance, is proposing that in lieu of the discretionary merit increase of up to 3%, that he be given a one-time performance-based bonus in the amount of $12,000. This lump sum bonus would be contributed towards a retirement medical account at the discretion of the general manager. The arrangements for that account have not been worked out at this stage, but the request is to approve the one-time bonus in the amount of $12,000 for GM Pruitt based on his performance. And there are adequate funds in the operating budget to cover this amount. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have about this item.
Any questions, gentlemen?
Move to approve.
Thank you. And
Second.
Director Hernandez, is that a second?
I'll second, and for discussion, I would like to add some words.
Okay, go ahead.
This organization, I've been with it for 10 years now, going on my 11th, has always been an excellent organization. And these last years with Director Pruitt at the helm, it's even become better. His evaluation was 4.8 and above. I don't give anybody a 5 because the last person that got a 5, they nailed to a cross. So I've told that to the manager, and I'm happy to see him here. I hope he plans to stay for another 20 years so we don't have to worry about this. So good job, Director Pruitt. That's all the comment I had.
Thank you.
Thank you, Director Hernandez. I think that we all echo that to you, General Manager Pruitt. Been a delight.
Yeah.
So we have a motion to accept your adjustment to your to the general manager's compensation. It's been moved by Martin and seconded by Hernandez in the roll call vote. And I'll start with Director Ellithorpe
Yes.
and Director Sinella,
Yes.
Director Hernandez,
Yes.
Director Martin,
A resounding yes.
and Director Evans. And I was going to say the same thing with absolute pleasure. So that passes unanimously. And that brings us to the end of the action items. Are there any comments that I've missed with the audience
Yeah, just again, just for the record, there were no public speakers on the last item either, so.
All right, thank you. So this moves us into reports. So the first one would be our general manager.
Yeah, so I have a few items. Just, I think at the last meeting, we mentioned that there will be some traffic impacts along San Marcos Boulevard due to one of our projects. That work will probably be extending through the majority of the month of January. And most of the traffic control is to allow us to tunnel underneath San Marcos Boulevard to install portions of the San Marcos Interceptor Sewer Project. So just wanted to make the public and the board aware of that. Second item, I wanted to talk about public safety power shutoffs. So James touched on it a little bit on the battery project, but this is an actual occurrence due to red flag conditions in San Diego County. SDG&E is urging customers to be prepared for a multi-day public safety power shutoff event beginning late tonight and extending through 6 o'clock on Saturday. The area in our service area that may experience power outages seems to be focused in the San Alejo area. So customers in that area, if they're interested in whether they may be affected by the public safety power shutoff, should visit SDG&E's website at sdge.com/ready. This website has maps of the impacted areas and up-to-the-minute information on shutoffs and who may be affected. And just to let the board know and the public know, Vallecitos operations staff is on top of this. We're ready and standing by in the event that the power does go out. So our facilities will continue to operate without any problems. So I don't know if there's any questions on those two items. The third and last item for me is it's going to be a bit of a long item, so please bear with me. And this is the sad part of the evening for me.
Oh, no, you have to wait till the very end. I don't want to hear it right now. I
You don't?
still have to give a report. Can you take part 3.1 and do the final bit at the end of the director's reports? Would
And
you
I can
mind?
do it at your pleasure, so I'll hold off on that.
All right, Mr. Gilpin.
Well, I had hoped to go after Jan Prum, but I'll just simply say, President Evans and Director Martin, it's been a pleasure working with you over these last 3 years. I'll miss working with you and your humor and your road trip stories, Hal. The hat is on its way. And with that, I don't have anything else to report.
Thank you. I'm going to give a very quick comment on the San Diego County Water Authority. The past meeting was supposed to be the very end of the year meeting. I believe they're going to have a couple now in December. But the most interesting thing was that there was a very, what's the word? The biggest decision on it was regarding the regional conveyance system. And I had great hopes for our new leadership. We just had them step in, but it turned out to be a very tense, informative, and a bit controversial and contentious. In the end, they did, the majority vote did go for moving on with the phase. And that's not necessarily a bad thing, I suppose, but it could have been better. So I will miss being on the Water Authority. It's a marvelous organization to see that many people trying to come together and handle everything that goes with this region. So I will miss that. And I want to thank each of you for supporting me through that process and allowing me to stay till the end. And on that, I would like to say congratulations to Director Ellatharp. I believe you signed in already, or maybe not, but stepping in, and you will enjoy it.
Thank you. And I just want to say it's an honor following your footsteps as our representative.
Thank you. All right, Encino Waste Water Authority.
We had
Candace.
we had a capital committee meeting this morning, and the majority of it was the capital improvement status report, of which there were 3 items that were reviewed. The biosolids management plan. Now haven't done this review since 2008, I believe is the date. So they're looking at a technical report to review the local use of the biosolids and whether or not we can do something else instead of creating the solids. And that report will be completed in sometime in March, and we'll have a workshop for the full board to go over the findings. The second was the construction of the SCADA system. And I won't embarrass anybody, including myself, as to what that SCADA actually means, which is supervisory control and data acquisition. After 10 years, what's that?
You wrote it down.
I did. Of course I did. I know what SCADA is, but I never remember what the words are. So you darn right I wrote it down. They awarded a contract, excuse me, to Feedlock Engineering, a construction management contract to Corolla, and a engineering services contract to CDM Smith Engineering. That project is going to be going on long for a number of years, connecting everything on the site to a couple of server rooms so that they can view all this stuff at one time at one area. So that's pretty incredible. And then the last item that they discussed was a design build project for the HVAC chiller replacement at the administration building that went out due to the ocean environment, and just the machine failed. It's been there for some time. They also talked about the digester cleaning and coating for digester number 6. They've pushed digester number 5 to couple that with the cleaning and coating of digester number 4, that the bid will go out in the summer. So there was a deductive change order for the original contract to eliminate digester 5. And that was the meeting.
I was very busy. And now we'll hear from Policy and Finance.
Yes, Policy and Finance also had a meeting yesterday. And the two interesting things came out. I was really glad to see that Director Sinella was in attendance. So he could kind of know what's going on for I think the meeting is coming up on the 9th, the general meeting on the 9th. But the two things that came up is a perennial thing that comes up from one member as to whether we should go dark in July or August. That's insignificant. But the other one that came up that I thought was very significant to the order of what they do. You know, they have a fantastic staff there. Can't say enough good things about them and what they're doing. And they came up, they wanted to award a contract to a certain company, and it was challenged by a board member. So that's going to be coming up at the board meeting. That's a very important item for us to be involved on, because the vote could be close on it. And that's about it.
Thank you, Director Martin. All right, so we move to standing committees. Has anyone have any of them met between the last meeting?
Finance hasn't since the last meeting, I don't believe.
Okay.
Well,
Nice.
actually, we did. Well, I don't know.
Oh, ad hoc.
That's is the ad hoc a special or standing?
Ad hoc is special, but
Special.
It's special. The ad hoc is a special, yeah. And we
Okay.
did have a meeting where information was given to us by our consultant
Yep.
through the GM. And I don't know if the GM has a follow-up to that or not that he'd like to present.
No specific follow-up. We're just trying to give the committee members an update on the status of the development of the adjacent hillside property and kind of the next steps of where we might be heading.
no decisions to move forward. Okay, and that takes care of that. So now it's directors' reports on meetings or conferences, seminars, teleconferencing that any of you may have attended.
Oh, not since the last meeting.
Pardon?
Not since the last meeting.
Not since the last meeting. Okay, so now I'll return this to you, General Manager Pruitt.
You're on mute, Glenn.
I'm on mute. Oh, Glenn's on.
Glenn's on mute.
Oh, Glenn
Can you
is
hear me
on.
now?
There we go.
You can hear me now?
Yes, we can.
Okay, as I started to say before, this is the sad part of the evening for me. Tonight is the last board meeting for two of our directors, President Evans and Director Martin. So I wanted to take a few minutes to share my thoughts about their departures. And I've chosen to do this in an unconventional way by poem. So I'll be reciting a poem. Disclaimer, I'm not a poet, and I hope nothing I say in here offends you. Nothing was intended to offend. And before I do the poem, we do have some parting gifts for you guys, but we'll have to deliver them at a later date. And I'm really sorry that we weren't able to say goodbye in person. Just another COVID-related tragedy as far as I'm concerned. But here goes. Okay, so this may take a few minutes. So it's
Is this
entitled,
in rap?
what's that?
Are you going to do it in rap?
I'm going to try. No. It's entitled The Ballad of Betty and Hal. This is,
I love it already.
yes. Okay, here we go. This is the ballad of Betty and Hal, two directors about to depart. They've overseen the district for 8 years, but a new era is about to start. Both came to the district way back then with ideas that we weren't well run. Staff was nervous at their first meeting, but an election can't be undone. To explain the difference between these two people, I thought a metaphor might come in handy. One's like a crusty old jawbreaker, and the other's like cotton candy. I'll leave the decision to the audience to determine the identity of each, but to think those listening couldn't figure it out would be considered quite a reach. Let's talk about the first one. We'll call him Director A, though I realize the gender reference may give his identity away. He's a cynic and a skeptic and doesn't make things easy, and getting a budget past this guy was anything but breezy. When I first started working here, I encountered with dismay the insensitive things at board meetings this unidentified director would say. Some things are better said in private, and in public they're surprising, but we'd talk about his comments later, and we called them Martinizing. I think a lot of his bluster is just putting on a show. I wish that everybody here could know the man I've gotten to know. He appears a bit combative, and there's a smoothness that he lacks, but he always says such wonderful things behind our employees' backs. So I suggest to Director A that you let everybody see the warm and caring person that I found you to be. And I'll finish my description of him as I change gears a little. He's a man with a crunchy coating and a soft and chewy middle. And now I turn my attention to the one called Director B, and it won't come as any surprise to you that I'll refer to her as she. A woman who's simply very nice and genuinely caring, whose feelings about her employees she is constantly caught sharing. As I mentioned previously, she was suspicious of us from the start, but then she figured things out for herself because she's really smart. Listen more than you speak is a motto I'm sure she espouses, and people shouldn't throw things when we all live in glass houses. Her colleagues call her staffer, a name she takes in stride, but standing by the employees is something she does with great pride. Although I've heard some people say she leads more with her heart than her head, I don't believe there's a single staff report this woman hasn't read. Leading with a quiet voice is a most impressive skill, but a character trait this director has been able to fulfill. She has a certain penchant for hugging us like a friend, which causes other directors to worry about the lawsuits we'll have to defend. So I come to the part of this poem where I counsel Director B, and some of you may think that is presumptuous of me. So my advice to you I shout, to be heard near and far, don't change a thing, Director B, stay just the way you are. Both of you will always have a special place within my heart. You took a chance 4 years ago and gave this GM his start. You're 40% of the only board that I have ever served. The kindness and patience you've shown me is more than I deserved. So now I have run out of rhymes and the poem is at an end, inspired by my time with you and written as a friend. The end.
Wow.
Excellent, excellent.
So now if you'll excuse any further impropriety, I'm going to address each of you by your first names because I'm talking to you as a friend and not as a GM at a board meeting. So Hal, I'll say one of my fondest memories of you is when we were at the Boys and Girls Club annual fundraiser a couple of years ago. Hope you remember that event. My wife and I sat at a table with you, and we had such a good time. And you made such a great impression on my wife, because sometimes she hears these negative stories about you, but she has said he was such a nice guy and so engaging. I love seeing you working that event, coordinating the pictures and hobnobbing with all the big shots there. You just looked like you were so in your element, and I'll always remember that night. So Hal, let your kindness show. You don't need to hide behind a gruff exterior anymore. Just be yourself out there. And Betty, you and I have become such close friends in the time that I've been here. I've enjoyed our work conversations a lot, but I've really enjoyed our private conversations so much more. I've told you things about my personal life that I've told very few people. And I did that because I knew I could trust you. I knew that then, and I know that now. So go enjoy spending more time with your husband, with your kids, and with your grandchildren, and absolve yourself of any guilt you may feel about leaving the board and wanting to live your own life. I wish both of you the very best, and I couldn't be happier to have served under you, and I couldn't be sadder to see both of you go. I'm very glad I wasn't subjected to the 3-minute speaking time limit tonight. But with that, I'd like to turn the microphone over to Vice President Sinella.
Oh, Glenn, that's pretty hard to follow. In fact, it's probably impossible to follow, but great job. And definitely you said everything very well. And I think we would all agree with what you had to say. Betty and Hal, you guys got to the board a couple of years before me, and you guys were both friends before we were on the board, and you leave now as friends as well. I hope I don't start crying. I don't normally cry, but I think I might. I wish you both the best. When we first got started, you guys 8 years ago, me 6 years ago, we were talking about things like increasing transparency throughout the district, recording our board meetings so the public can go back and watch them if they can't make the meetings live. Little things like that may not have seemed too important back then, but I think have really made a positive impact on the district, and have really improved things for our customers. And I started making a list of all the things that you guys kind of led over the last 8 years, and some of the changes that this district has gone through. And I got like an entire page full of notes, and I still had more to go. And I said, well, wow, they're going to kill me if I talk this long. So, from pension reform to groundwater studies to, competing our legal services contract for the first time in 30 years, just to put it out for competition. I thought that was huge. We hired a new GM a couple of years ago, as was indicated, and he's doing a fine job. There's so many things for you guys both to be proud of. The water district is so much better today than it was when you first joined the board. And a lot of that goes to your leadership and everything that you were able to accomplish and network with other folks and other colleagues within the water world, both locally and statewide. And I know, just not only as a peer and a colleague, but as a water customer and just, a citizen of San Marcos like everybody else, I'm grateful for what you guys have done. And I know many of our fellow residents and those in the community are grateful as well. So best of luck to both of you. I hope you get some well-deserved downtime and quality time with those that you love, and just wish you the best. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you both. Now,
and with that, with that, we'll go ahead and turn it over to Director Elithar.
oh dear. Okay.
Okay, thanks, Mike. Well said from both Glenn and Mike. I don't what else I could add, but I did jot down a few thoughts, and this is indeed a sad evening for me, but it's been a pleasure working with both of you, and I sincerely mean that. As a new board member 6 years ago, you both openly welcomed me, and I got to say, you both taught me a lot, and particularly in the area of local politics. And I'm the first to admit that I'm an absolute neophyte in anything political. And I just really appreciate your the guidance from both of you. It's very appreciated. You know, I'm also proud of the things that we accomplished together. And for me, some of the highlights were, you know, Mike mentioned it, but the general manager and general counsel hires. We hired those are two fantastic recruitments. I don't think we could have done better for our ratepayers. Another one was bringing desal water to our customers during a historic drought, and I don't think we can minimize that. And thirdly, holding the line on rate increases to what I feel is the minimum possible. And congratulations to everybody, staff, management, but especially to you, Betty and Hal, for all the work on that. You know, through it all, I've appreciated your sense of humor, both of you, and the caring attitude on a very human level from both of you. I know it, you know, Glenn has mentioned the gruff exterior of one of you, but there's a real softy inside and a very caring human being inside, and absolutely both of you that way. And so kind of the bottom line for me is that absolutely you both have always conducted yourselves with the ratepayers' best interests in mind. And I can say that unequivocally, and from my experience, I've 100% of the time that's what I've witnessed. So again, it's a sad evening for me, but again, like Mike said, best wishes to both of you for whatever the future holds for you. I wish you all the best. Thanks. I'll turn it over to Director Hernandez.
Thank you. Let me start. Betty, we've known each other, I won't even tell you how many years, but we've been in this community, and you have done so many grand things, the latest of which has been as our board member. And you have honestly led with your heart. And sometimes some of us grumpy old men aren't moved that way too easily, but you have brought us along. I was trying to figure, I cannot count on one hand the times that our whole board, all five of us, haven't agreed on a position. And that's because of yours, and next Hal, when I talk to him, your leadership. So I know you're going to remain around the community. Don't be afraid to come back in and say hello to us and give us all a big hug, because I, like you, I'm a hugger and I can always use a hug. Hal, geez, we've known each other for 30 plus years, and I have seen that soft inside, and you need to expose that a little bit more. I know you're getting ready to move on to a new adventure, but your leadership, not only here, but at the city council, on the planning commission, where we first got together, boys and girls, the list goes on. And I have appreciated being your friend. Come back to our mastermind meeting. Come to the water district meetings. You'll always be welcome. And thank you, and stay in touch.
Thank you very much. Now, where does this go? Does it go?
We'd be happy to hear from you, President Evans, or Director Martin, if you'd like to speak, or we could move along if you'd like to, whatever you're comfortable with.
Director Martin, would you like to speak first? I would appreciate that.
Yeah, I would appreciate if you spoke first.
You like to try it together? It might be.
Duet.
All right. Would you like me to be first?
Sure.
Okay. I can't talk.
All right, I'll start. Thank you for all the nice and kind words. Yeah, I can't talk either.
If it helps at all, I got choked up when I was writing the poem too, so.
Wow, I want a copy of that poem so I can read it to myself whenever I feel grumpy. It's been a joy working with all of you. And I would say the last 10 years, starting with Jim, The changes that were made on the board were astronomical. I mean, the changes that Vallecitos has been through, all for the good. And the best part of it is our GM and our general counsel, Mr. Gilpin, who still owes me a hat. They've done a great job and a big change. James Gumpel, Ed Pedrazzi, Wes Owen, they've been fantastic to work with. And Diane keeping us straight and keeping us in line all the time was a big help. But it's been a real joy working with all of you. And you're right, we haven't had that many times where we've disagreed. But when we have disagreed, we've walked outside, said goodnight to each other, and come back for another meeting. So it was all amicable. And the difference in our knowledge bases is amazing. Director Elitharp, you coming on board was fantastic because you knew a lot of the ins and out as our GM does, because that's where you came from. Jim, his engineering, Director Sinella, just his overall mind, Director Evans with her big heart, and me being the grump, being the one to ask the difficult questions sometimes. And I didn't always come across as nicely or couch it as nicely as I could have. But I think Wes learned to overcome that. Certainly James did, and Ed could care less. He's the guy that runs the ship most of the time, I think. So a grateful thank you to an awesome staff, great employees, all called staff members, and a great board to work with. Always enjoyed it. We'll always have great memories. Thanks.
Thank you, Hal. I wish you'd have talked a little longer. Well, I guess you all know. This is hard. I'm so excited to have an opportunity to open another door, but I will miss you all. I can't express, oh, I wish it wasn't a screen. I can't express very well how much you've meant to me as people, as co-workers, as inspiration, education, challenge, and friendship and humor. And I say this to not just the board, which has really been a joy. Even the hard times to me are an important part of becoming. And I've appreciated those challenges. Not just the staff who knows I adore them, and who, even those of you who I haven't met, the staff members, I just can't explain how so many times I turn the water on, or I hear about a leak, or I see my flume beeping at me because I'm using too much water. I just think with such gratitude and appreciation and admiration for the number of 24/7, minute by minute people, objects that need to be taken care of and are handled by a crew that seems so minimal to me for the massive things they do. I extend this to the Water Authority because when you see the whole regional picture, it's incredible what we do. And I think Vallecitos excels. And I do applaud this board because we have made significant changes. I think Mike, you had said, you don't know it's a big deal at the time, but it turns out to be critically important. And one thing I remember when you were coming on board was that you were very much into social media, and social media is not my thing. And what a difference it's been having someone who understands it and supports it. And Chris, you have, Robbins, you've run with it, and Lisa and Alicia have done such a beautiful job with that. What a gift. And I think each one of you has truly, yes, Hal, you have asked some really tough questions, and Jim, you have tackled some big hurdles for us and tough ones. And Craig, when I've always appreciated your diplomacy and your inner knowledge. You don't talk a lot, but I know you think a lot. And Mr. Gilpin, you know, I was really nervous. I had great feelings about our prior GM and our general counsel, but you have been wonderful, and I'm so impressed with. I'm so sorry I won't get to watch you solve the challenges of the future because I so love your mannerism and your approach. You are wonderful. Besides that, you're fun. And Glenn, you're more than a friend. I'm so happy that you came here, and you do know I have great respect and fondness for Dennis Lamb as well, but you have shown, and I think you will blossom even more. So I think our district is phenomenal. I'm not going to name each of the employees. I'd be here forever. To the employees, I do want to say the hardest part is saying goodbye without saying it to you in person, because you know I would hug you to death. And that probably wouldn't be good for the district, but it sure the heck would be good for me. And I do hope we all remain friends. You know where I live, you know where my phone number, you know my email. And I hope that that I'll hear from you. And finally, I'd like to say thank you to the public and our ratepayers. It's truly been an honor to represent so many people and to have been elected to be a part of the board. And after 1 or 2 days, realizing what an unknown and amazing organization happens in our water world and in special districts, and that I had this responsibility and this opportunity to represent the people. And you're right, I do it with my heart, but I do it with my head. And I know some of you know if I get really mad, I'm not very fun to be with. So I try not to take my rose-colored glasses off very often. But I must say to the public, one of my most favorite parts of being a public servant was actually campaigning and walking door to door and meeting wonderful strangers who had never met before. So this whole thing is really hard. But I know it's the right decision, and I want to reach out to Jim and oh my gosh, Tiffany, who are sitting in the audience, and welcome them on board. I'm sorry I can't do that in person with you. And finally, all of you, please keep in touch. Hal, I wish you the best. I hear you may be going further away than is reachable, but I do have some really fond memories with you. I love you. I really, truly do. And I thank you so much. And I have to get off now. Was I on mute through the whole thing?
No, just for the last second. So
Oh, anyway, this was very exciting. And thank you all for your kind words. And now trying to be a president again, we will move to other business. I don't believe there's any meetings to bring up, are there?
I don't believe so.
Okay, and are there any other director comments?
President,
Yes, Director Hernandez.
in driving by the San Marcos pump station #1, I don't see any solar activity at all. Are we still waiting on that? I thought we had pretty much finished Twin Oaks and we were going to move right into San Marcos Boulevard area.
I think James can answer that.
Director Hernandez, you're correct. So we're still waiting on the final city approvals, but we're still on schedule for early next year getting our occupancy. So basically everything's there. It's on site. It's inside lock boxes, and they have all the groundwork done. So it's just a matter of bolting it together. All the wires are run, and we're just waiting for the final approvals.
Oh, okay. All right. Thank you.
Okay, and then there's nothing for future agenda items that need to be brought up?
I have just one thing I'd like to bring up.
Yes, yes.
If we could remind Glenn to let us know when they finally do the opening of South Lake, because we all had a lot to do with it and all would like to see that happen. And we know that it's Mr. Gilpin holding it up for some reason.
Right, are you going to be getting yourself a boat in the meantime, so you're
Yes,
ready?
I'm gonna have a rowboat ready.
Oh, cool.
Jim and I are gonna be out there fishing.
You betcha.
Okay, well, then I will say the final goodbye from me and wish you all a very, very pleasant Christmas and a wonderful 2021. And thank you for the memories and all of the staff members who I know your names and I'm not saying them. I'm going to come back and haunt you as well. So thank you and good night. Good night to the audience.
Wes, where's your tie?
Good night, everybody.
Say
Good night.
kumbaya real fast. Bye.
Bye.